Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. And a special salam to all my students at Al-Huda Elementary School, who I hope are also tuning in today. Welcome to another virtual khutbah, if you will. It's a great opportunity for us to still connect, even though we can't physically be together. These days on Fridays are still special days. And I think that the opportunity for us to connect, even if it's virtual, is really important as I always consider Jummah like what we would call soul food. It's something you get not that often, but every time you get it, it's very important. So Jazakallah khair for joining us. I wanted to share a story today, actually, like I usually like to do. Um, and I will abbreviate some portions of it because we are going to have a lot of kids on the video with us today, but you can put the pieces together for yourself. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he narrates that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "A man from amongst the people before you said, 'Indeed, I will give in charity.' So he took his sadaqah out and placed it in a thief's hand. In the morning, the people were talking about this incident and saying sadaqah was given to a thief last night." So the Prophet is narrating a story of something that happened before, right? This is, stuff that he was inspired, that he learned about, and he's telling the people for them to take lesson from this story. So there was a man who wanted to give some charity, and he wanted to do it secretly. So he went out late at night, and it's not like our nighttime where there are lots of street lights and the businesses have their lights on in the parking lot. It's very dark. So this man went out in the dark and he had a little bit of money in his hand, and he just placed it in somebody's hand, and he wouldn't even know who that person is. But the next morning, it turned out that he gave that money to somebody who was known to be a thief. And everyone was like, who? The thief went around telling everybody, say, somebody gave me sadaqah last night, somebody gave me charity. And everybody went around and they're talking like, who gives money to a thief? Like, they're coming after us, they're making our life miserable, they're scary, and somebody's giving them charity. And the man said, "Oh Allah, praise be to you. I have given sadaqah to a thief. Indeed, I will give in charity." So he reaffirmed his intention. Even though his plan didn't work out the first time, he said, I'm going to give charity. So he took his sadaqah out and he went out again at night and he placed it in the hand of a woman who was involved in a lot of sinful behavior. She was doing bad things. And in the morning, again, people started talking about this. His sadaqah was given to that kind of a woman last night. Like, everybody knew her reputation and they were like, who gives charity to somebody like that? And again, on hearing this, the man said, "Praise be to you, O Allah. I gave sadaqah to this kind of a lady. Indeed, I will give in charity." So again, the third night, he's not deterred. He was intending to give sadaqah. He's like, I'm going to do it no matter what happens. He went on a third night. So now he's giving three times the sadaqah maybe he initially had intended. And he goes out and again, he just places it in somebody's hands and nobody knows who gave it to who. And the next morning, everyone's talking about this again. News would spread very fast, even if they didn't have social media. And everyone is saying sadaqah was given to a rich man last night. So somebody put money in the hand of a rich person. And the man said, "Oh Allah, praise be to you for helping me give charity to a thief, a lady who did wrong things, and a rich man." And it's interesting that, every time his plan didn't work out, what did he say? He didn't say astaghfirullah. He didn't swear. He didn't curse. He didn't get upset. He didn't throw things. He said, "You know what? Praise be to you, O Allah." No matter what happened, he would praise Allah because his intentions were very good. But he kept seeing night over night that things didn't exactly go as planned. Then he said he had a dream. And in that dream, he was told that the sadaqah that was given to the thief might result in him refraining from theft. So that sadaqah was like, oh, now he has the money he needs. He doesn't need to resort to what he's doing. And maybe it's a realization for him that he doesn't have to steal. And if he's having a tough time or he needs money, there are other ways to go about it. And subhanAllah, he even be somebody who might get some charity. And the sadaqah he gave to the lady who was involved in a lot of wrong things might stop her from doing that. And the sadaqah given to the rich man might help him pay heed and be attentive and say, you know what, subhanAllah, people are giving me sadaqah. How embarrassing. I'm the one who has so much money. I should be giving people. And maybe this opportunity is an opportunity for him to give more charity to the people around him. And so, we understand from the narration here of the Prophet, and this is actually a story that's in Sahih al-Bukhari. We understand from this narration of the Prophet, and we understand from what might have happened in this dream, that those things probably did happen, right? The thief stopped his theft, the rich man started to give more, and a lot of good comes out of it. And it's so interesting for so many reasons. Number one, this man had a particular plan to give money, assumingly to somebody who's poor. and he wasn't able to do it. He gave the money, he did his part, but his money never reached a poor person. But what's also so interesting is that, we plan and Allah plans. And in our plan, and maybe in his plan, he thought, if I give some money to somebody who's poor, then you know what? I will solve a problem in their poverty. But by giving money to these three people, he changed three different people's lives who he never might have met otherwise, he never might have been able to influence otherwise, but he brought about so much goodness. And think about it, if he was able to help the thief, not only did he help that person in his life and removing his sins and living a better life, but all the people down the road that the thief might have affected poorly, he was able to take care of those people as well by cutting off this thief's bad habits by accidentally giving him some sadaqah. And it wasn't really an accident, right? This is what Allah had planned. And this rich person, he intended to give sadaqah to one poor person. And like I said, it might have solved one person's problem or helped one family. But by giving to a rich man, who may have in turn become a very generous person for the rest of his life, imagine how many more people benefited. And all that benefit came from a rich man having to get sadaqah. Have you ever been in a powerful position or you think you're better and somebody else helps you in a way that you would never imagine? Sometimes that's the wake up call we need to do so much khair in our lives. And this is what happened to him. And so much other khair comes out. And I want you to think about this story in the context of Ramadan. Now, nothing I spoke about has anything to do with Ramadan, right? At least obviously. But if we think about the lessons from the story, we start to think about the Ramadan that's maybe just 1 week away. We start to think about that Ramadan so differently, that we might have a plan, but Allah might have a bigger plan and a more unique plan and a better plan for us. And we might be so used to doing things a certain way to try to get out a certain benefit, but maybe Allah has in store for us something a little bit different, something that could reach khair, that could come out of it that's more than maybe we would have ever expected or hoped for. The same way, this man had an intention to give sadaqah and other things came out of it. And so there's another big point that I want to take. I want to take a few big lessons out of this. Number one, if you have a good intention to do something, be hopeful and be optimistic of its reward. This man had an intention to give sadaqah, and he can be, inshallah, assured that he will get rewarded for giving sadaqah. Likewise, in Ramadan, we have a lot of our habits that are going to be interrupted temporarily this year. Maybe you're somebody who goes for salah. You're one of those people, subhanAllah, when I go to our masjid every Ramadan, it's always, mashallah, mashallah, the same people praying in the first row. And this year you might not be able to pray in the first row, but if this is something that you intended before all this virus mess happened, if this is something that you intended anytime leading up to this month, I'm optimistic that Allah will reward you as if you prayed the whole month in that first row. If you are somebody who used to go and sponsor an iftar at the masjid every year without fail, you and your friends, you and some other families, you'd get together, you'd pitch in enough to sponsor one full iftar in the masjid. Those beautiful big Saturday night iftars that we used to have. But this year you can't because the masjid can't hold an iftar. I'm confident and I'm optimistic that inshallah Allah will reward you for feeding all those people even if you're not able to. And if you're one of those people who would go for Qiyam regularly, if you're one of those people who would lead the Taraweeh regularly, and you had intended that this year, this month, I'm going to do it again, but you don't have that opportunity, I pray and I hope that Allah will give you the same reward. Our actions are by our intentions. It's the first hadith that Imam Bukhari puts in his book. Actions are by intention. And if a believer intends to do something, they are rewarded for it in the eyes of Allah. And if they're actually able to complete, they get another reward too. And subhanAllah, this situation that we're in is such a beautiful reminder for us about how important our intentions are in every part of our life. Intend to do good and Allah will complete it and Allah will reward us for it. Because right now we have a lot of us are a little bit anxious, a little bit scared, there's a lot of fear. But in everything that happens, there's reasons to be hopeful and optimistic. And that leads to the next point that I wanted to make, which is look at all of the other benefits that are going to come out of our situation, right? We have a big principle in our life that we take from our faith, which is that whatever happens in the life of a believer, as crazy as it is, as tragic as it might look, as hard as it is to deal with, for a believer, there's always more khair, there's always more goodness in a situation than there is bad or evil. For a believer, there's always more goodness than there is difficulty. And in a situation like this, where you might be upset and frustrated and annoyed that you can't go to the masjid, that you wanted to be there, that you wanted a Ramadan like normal, that you wanted to be back in school and this and that, there's more khair in this. Now, we can't always see it. We won't always be able to understand it, but that doesn't mean that it's not there, right? As his slaves and as his servants, Allah loves us. And sometimes we need a difficult lesson, but sometimes Allah is doing things for us in a certain way that will generate a certain amount of goodness that we would not be able to attain otherwise. And so we will believe that even if we can't figure it out, even if it doesn't fit on our typical mental models of what this month and what the next few weeks are supposed to look like. But we're going to be hopeful and we're going to be optimistic that if Allah has decreed for us a month like this, we are going to make the best out of it. And goodness will come out of it. Maybe we won't see the whole picture this month. Maybe we won't see the whole picture this year. Maybe we've been really afflicted by the situation and we'll spend our whole lives not understanding why Allah allowed this to happen this way. Maybe it'll be in an eternal dimension. Maybe we will understand in the hereafter why, and then see, oh, this is what Allah wanted for me. Oh, this is all the reward that Allah saved for us on the day of judgment as a result of putting us through that test. We don't know, but we are hopeful and we think good about Allah in any and all circumstances. Now, the next point that I wanted to mention is that, you know, difficulties sometimes and trials and tests and things that happen, they're an opportunity for us to purify our intentions, right? We started off by talking about the value of intentions and how far our intentions can go to do goodness. Like the story of this man, he had a very strong intention to give a secret sadaqah. And do you know why he wanted to give a secret sadaqah? Just as a little aside, because those people who give sadaqah secretly, super secretly, they are one of the few people who will have a special place on the day of judgment to be under the shade of Allah's throne when there'll be no shade except for that shade. Right? It's a special reward for people who give sadaqah secretly. So he had a very strong intention to do a very excellent action secretly, quietly. And Allah multiplied that intention into so much other khair, inshallah, that came out of his actions and out of his deeds. So it's an opportunity for purifying our intentions. You know, a lot of our spirituality in this month comes from our collectiveness and our being together in the masjid. But did you ever think that maybe that's not the only way to achieve so much goodness in this month? You know, we know from the example of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that in Ramadan he would come out and he would pray, and then people joined him the next night, and then they joined him the night after that. But then what happened after that? The Prophet didn't show up the next night. Why? Because he said, I am afraid this is going to become fard on you. And the big lesson for us is that it's not fard on us. And that's not the only way to worship Allah. Yes, we should pray every single night at home. Even if you can only pray a little bit, you've got to pray. Don't break the habit at all. If you can pray Qiyam, get up and pray before your suhoor every day, not just the last 30 days. Pray as much as you can. Use the opportunities, right? But it gives us an opportunity to pull some of the spirituality back out of things that maybe became a little ritualistic. So think about all the good deeds that you love to do in a normal Ramadan and think about how you're going to do them during this special Ramadan. This is not a bad Ramadan. This is not a write-off Ramadan. This is a special Ramadan. This is a Ramadan we're going to tell our grandkids about. That, you know, there was a Ramadan where we couldn't even go to the masjid. But we did this and we did this and we did this and we did that. And we learned so much about ourselves. And our faith actually strengthened so much because of the different opportunities that we had. So if you're somebody who loves to feed people, who loves to take part in the iftar, maybe you're part of that beautiful volunteering crew that serves everybody else during Ramadan. Maybe you're one of the people who sponsors the iftars in Ramadan. Maybe you're connected to one of the restaurants that supplies food during Ramadan for all these iftars. I challenge you to go out and do this anyways. But how? That's what we have to figure out. Find a business that's struggling. Find one of your favorite restaurants that you haven't eaten at so much and give them a beautiful big order and say, you know what, I need you to make 3 packs or 5 packs, and I need you to ensure that you're going to have contactless delivery. And here's the money. Please deliver iftar to this house, this house, and this house on these dates, and I'm going to feed people anyways. You'll have a little extra time at home. We're not commuting to work, many of us these days. Get in the kitchen, make double one night, and go distribute it somewhere. You know what? Just leave it on the porch, ring the bell, run away, and say, SubhanAllah, your iftar is on me tonight. I can't feed you in the masjid, but you're my brother or you're my sister, and I'm going to feed you anyways. This is a sunnah that we have, and this is a sunnah we will complete no matter what, no matter how. We will find a way to make it happen. We will do it anyways, right? So if you really love feeding people, feed people. Nothing's stopping you. I just have to do something a little bit differently. Somebody once told me a famous quote. I don't know who said it, but they say that necessity is the mother of all invention. If we really want to feed people, if your intention is strong, like that man's intention was strong, you will find a way to feed people. And maybe you'll be able to do multiple benefits. You're supporting maybe a business where people need to be paid. They're concerned about their incomes. They're having a lot of trouble right now. You know what? Best time to help them. You get benefit, they get benefit, the people you feed get benefit, reward for everyone, inshallah. And then maybe you're the kind of person who, mashallah, you're one of the first hands that go up at the fundraising dinner. You're one of the first hands that go up during the last odd nights when the masjid's doing their annual fundraising. I challenge you, wherever you used to pray, find that masjid's website, find their donation page, and give them a donation. Give it right at the beginning of the month. Make a habit. So, in most Ramadans, I give this much money. I'm going to split that up, and every day I'm going to give. Every single day I'm going to give online, right? And maybe your bank statement or your credit card statement is going to have like 30 different transactions on it. That's excellent. Go for it. Give what you can give. Keep giving. Just because you're not there doesn't mean you can't give. Mashallah, so many of you have a beautiful habit where you would drop money in a donation box every day when you go into Ramadan. $5, $15, $20. Do the same thing online and support the places you used to physically go to as well, and others. Use this as an opportunity to distribute, invest your sadaqah in many, many areas. Give more if you have the ability, and know that Allah will always bless your risk so long as, inshallah, you're giving charity as well with it. And then maybe you are the kind of person who love to pray or love to listen to the Quran. Let's be honest, not all of us can stand there and read Quran like our beautiful imams do, and can stand there for the whole juz completion, or through the whole Taraweeh without some help and support. It's understandable. We all have different abilities. We all have different capacities. But does that mean we shouldn't benefit from the same thing? Even listening to the Quran is a rewardable action. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would review the Quran with Jibreel alayhi salam. So pray what you can pray, find your favorite reciter online, and after your iftar, just listen as a family. Just listen to the juz. It'll take you 45 minutes, maybe take an hour, quiet listening time. Listen, enjoy, benefit. We're doing things a little differently, yes. But did you ever think you could hear any one of your favorite reciters in your home? Maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago, that wasn't even possible. Now it's amazing. Now you can listen in different recitations. You can listen to different people. Maybe you can do it as a house party or a hangouts, right? All online, where you're all listening to the same reciter and enjoying the beautiful recitation. So you're praying and you're listening to your review of the Quran for the year, and you're reading. Mashallah, like I said, many of us are not commuting this year. Guess what? Use your commute time as your Quran time. So many of us struggle to finish the Quran in a month because we're commuting and working and this and that, and it's hard to get everything in. Have a little bit of extra time, a little bit of extra Quran. Push yourself to do the best you can do, and not to look at this month like, oh, we're stuck with this, and oh, it's not like that. Yes, we miss people, and yes, it's not the same. But no, like we teach in school. Those of you from school who are listening, you remember the speech competition, right? Different doesn't mean wrong. Just because it's different doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just different. And we will extract different blessings and different benefits from a different experience, inshallah. And we're going to make the best out of it. And we're going to be very hopeful. And we're going to spend the month praying for our health, the health of our loved ones, the health of the believers, and the health of everybody everybody out there, so that we can be, inshallah, relieved from the situation quickly. What a beautiful thing that no matter what difficult circumstances are coming, the month of dua is coming too, and we are going to face every challenge with long and beautiful duas as best as we can together, inshallah. And remember, lastly, that sometimes the best way for us to appreciate the blessings that we have is for Allah to take them away from us temporarily. We'll be reminded to take advantage of blessings before they're gone. And temporarily, some of our blessings, the houses of Allah, they're temporarily closed. We're temporarily missing out on this blessing. And this should be the reason that we take these things more seriously. The day, inshallah, we are allowed to congregate as large groups, and we will always follow, inshallah, the directives around health and safety from our governments and local regions, etc. The day we're allowed to openly congregate, inshallah, there'll be 300 people in the masjid, all praying on a regular salah. Maybe it's Dhuhr, maybe it's Asr, maybe it's Isha, because Allah has allowed us to come back to the places that we love, and we will make a promise to ourselves that, oh Allah, you gave us such a big blessing, I will be grateful for that blessing. But that gratitude doesn't start when the blessing comes back. The gratitude starts now. It starts with an appreciation that, Allah, thank you so much for allowing me for so many years of my life to be able to attend, to be able to do something a certain way. And Allah, even if I have an interruption of service and what I'm usually used to, that's not going to stop me from worshiping you and staying connected to you and seeking out goodness in every way and every opportunity that comes to us. Right? Alhamdulillah, we have so many of our shuyukh, they're making themselves available online so much. We have so many opportunities to connect with people, to give, to support. We're so fortunate to be in the situations that we're still in. And we're so fortunate, inshallah, whatever is coming is only temporary. It's only temporary. There are places that we know, there are brothers and sisters who deal with this kind of stuff all year, who can't make it to the masjids any Ramadan ever. Places where there aren't masjids, or the masjids have been closed, or they're dealing with other difficulties. For us, for the majority of people who are watching right now and who are in the situation with us here locally, we know, inshallah, we're very confident that it's temporary. But let us not temporarily disconnect from Allah. Let us pull our intentions up. Let us purify them. Let us pull through with our spirituality. And inshallah, we will achieve the benefits of everything we intended from a regular Ramadan, quote unquote. And inshallah, all the good deeds that we get out of this unique and special Ramadan as well. And hopefully, on our scale of deeds on the day of judgment, we'll look back and say, wow, that Ramadan from 2020, look how heavy it is. Look how heavy it is. It's way, I didn't get to do as much as I normally do. I didn't get to go where I normally went, but I tried so hard. And inshallah, Allah will reward all of our efforts. Look how heavy it is. Look, it's tipping the scale. Inshallah. It's hopeful. We should be hopeful, and as much as we're afraid and we are, a lot of uncertainty, we should be hopeful and we should be optimistic as well. Inshallah, that will help us get through all of this. Jazakallah khair. We have there's a lot of programming coming up, a lot of special Ramadan stuff, a lot of campaigns. Keep tuned to our channels and our social media, inshallah, and we'll be with all of you shortly, virtually or in person, or however Allah wills. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.